Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there friends, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. And today in the Bible Bistro we are looking at verses 21 through 23 in Psalm 50. Psalm 50 is the great convocation of God. He brings everybody together, and he comes before them with fire rolling before him, very tempestuous, and the light shining. And he comes and he calls his witnesses. The heavens and the earth are going to testify against his people. And then he speaks to his people there in 7 through 15. And then beginning in 16, we have him speaking to the wicked. And these could include his people as well, because they're taking up his statutes into their mouth. So perhaps, the wicked are the wicked amongst his people. And not just the wicked generally speaking, but I think it applies to everyone. Now we come today to the conclusion. He concludes this entire matter. Now you'll notice that we haven't really talked about Asaph. We've not talked about the voice of the psalmist at all since verse 6. Actually, verse 5 was first person. That was God calling the saints together. He says, "Gather unto me, my saints." So it's been the Lord speaking the whole time, beginning in 7 and running all the way through now to where we are in 21 through 23. And it continues. Let me read these verses for us. "These things have you done, and I kept silence. And thou thought that I was altogether such a one as thyself. But I will reprove thee, and set them in order before thine eyes. Now consider this, ye that forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offereth praise glorifies me, and to him that orders his conversation aright, I will show the salvation of God." All right, so now you'll notice verse 21. Let's just go back and look at verse 21. Again, verse 21 sets up for us the conclusion. These things you have done, okay? In 7 through 20, we have all of it, the bad religion, the hypocrisy, everything that he's mentioned. He says, you've done this. He affirms their sin. And he said, and I kept silence. Now remember, that's important, because back there in verse 3, we mentioned that God's coming, but he's not going to keep silent anymore. He's going to speak. And then in verse 7, he says, "Hear, O my people, and I will speak." And now in 21, he said, you did all this, I kept silent, and you thought I was just like you. But I will reprove you and set them order before you. So he kept silence, but no longer. Now it's time for judgment. God is watching. He's waiting. He's patient. He's long-suffering. That's why he's silent. He's waiting for you to come. He's waiting for you to call. Have you done that yet, by the way? Have you called on the Lord? He said, these things I've done, and I kept silence. Why? Because he's long-suffering. You thought I was altogether such a one as yourself. See, that's what men do when they create idols. They create idols after themselves and their own imaginations. They think that God is like this, but he's not. And he says, I will reprove thee and set them in order. So judgment has come and is coming. Now consider this, ye that forget God. This is both his people and the wicked. So both groups he's going to set in order before their eyes. And God says, consider this. And if you don't consider this, I'm going to tear you in pieces and there'll be none to deliver. So sit up and listen and consider. And here's what he has to say. Verse 23. Whoso offereth praise glorifies me, and to him that orders his conversation aright, I will show the salvation of God. How do you order your conversation aright? Well, just look right up there to verses 14 and 15. Offer to God thanksgiving, pay your vows to the Most High, call upon him in the day of trouble, and he will deliver you, and you will glorify him. So he says here in 23, he that offers praise glorifies me. We can add that to our list there in 14 and 15. To him that orders his conversation. So the ordering of the conversation is what we have there in 14 and 15, and the keeping of the statutes, and the keeping of the covenant. Not just mouthing it and acting like, you're pretending to be a keeper, but you're not. He says, I will show the salvation of God. Otherwise, guess what's going to happen? He will tear us to pieces and there'll be none to deliver. That's the other side of the coin. If we order our conversation aright, we'll receive the salvation of God. Have you called upon Him yet? Why don't you do that right now? Call upon the Lord right now while He may be found. This is the day of trouble. Call upon the Lord, and He'll deliver you. You'll see the salvation of God, and you'll glorify Him. Join me again next week as we look at Psalm 51. And Psalm 51 is that great psalm of David, of his repentance. So I hope that you'll join me then here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.